Hi guys, it's Mr. Y, obviously, with a little video here on my grading rubric, particularly when it comes to playing quizzes. I wanted to explain to you guys a little bit how I grade you on playing quizzes this year in the band. There are 5 categories in my little grading rubric, okay? Tone, technique, rhythm accuracy, pitch accuracy, and interpretation. These are a little bit different for percussionists. I'll explain that in the different percussion video that you should watch if you're a percussionist. Okay. The 5 categories I have, of course, there's 4 points possible in each one of those. So a perfect score on a band quiz is not actually 100. A perfect score on a band quiz is 20. So please do make sure your parents know that, so when you go home and say, I got a 20 on a band quiz, they don't freak out. Of course, 20 out of 100 would be bad. 20 out of 20 is, of course, very good. Okay, so let me talk about these various categories and how you go about getting a good grade in them. Number 1, tone. Tone is always the most important thing when it comes to playing an instrument. Nobody cares if you can play Flight of the Bumblebee at 9,000 miles an hour if you sound like a pregnant hippo. Okay, you need to sound like your instrument. And what tone is defined as is a characteristic good sound on your instrument. Related to breathing techniques, correct posture and embouchure, that is how you hold your lips and your tongue and everything on your face when you play, and how often you do long tones during your warm-up. Long tones are very, very important when it comes to developing tone. Okay, that's why we do them a lot at the beginning of the year like we are right now. Okay, if you played whatever I had you play, say it was a scale exercise or a line out of the book or whatever, and you had a really good sound, you know, for instance, if you're a trumpet player, you sounded like a trumpet all the way through, okay? That would mean you got a 4 out of 4 on that category, which is very good. If you had a few squeaks and maybe some bad sounds here and there, that would mean maybe you got a 3 out of 4 on that category. If you had some fairly serious tone issues, you know, you didn't get a good sound much of the time, that would be a 2, okay? If you did have lots of problems with your sound, like as in you can barely produce a good sound in your instrument, that would be a 1, okay? So in our first category, tone, you can get 4 points, 3 points, 2 points, or 1 point. That's the way all my different categories work. Depending on how well you're doing them, you'll get 4 points for perfect and 1 point for really darn bad, okay? And anything in between. So that's kind of the way it works. And since we have the 5 categories and there's 4 points apiece, you can do the multiplication there. 20 points, yes, is a perfect score. Okay, so tone, like I said, basically how good you sound on your instrument. Lots of long tones is really how you do that. Okay, that's the really important thing. Number 2, technique. Technique is the physical ability and mechanical dexterity required to produce notes correctly. Okay, depends on how often you do finger finders, articulation exercises, and how often you practice in general. Okay, the more you practice, of course, on your various instruments, whatever you're using, the better you're going to get with your fingers. The more your fingers are going to kind of get instinctual in how you use them. What we're really trying to train with your fingers or whatever part of your body you're using to play your instrument is what's called muscle memory, so that your conscious mind does not have to be involved in how you play. When you see the G scale on the saxophone, your fingers automatically go da 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 without you thinking about it at all. That's the whole point. Okay, the more you practice like that, the better you get. Now, that old thing, practice makes perfect, well, maybe, but the problem is you need to practice correctly to get perfect. I've heard this saying, perfect practice makes perfect, or practice makes permanent. You can practice something wrong and get really good at playing it wrong, obviously. That's not what you want to do. So take it really slow, work on things very carefully at the very beginning, and then gradually get faster. That's really the way to practice. Okay, so that's technique. Number 3, rhythm accuracy. Your ability to read and play correct rhythms accurately and steadily, related to your ability to clap and count out loud. You have to count, you can't guess. You will hear me say that 1,000 times between now and the end of 8th grade, I'm sure. If you're guessing at the rhythm, you probably will get it wrong, okay? Or you at least always won't get it right. You won't always get it right. You need to count, not guess. And we do the clapping and counting kind of exercises, and we study rhythm. Rhythm is really about half of music. When you boil music down, it's really all about either rhythm, meaning how long the notes are and how long they last and what kind of rhythm they come in, and pitch, how high or how low they are. That's really all you have in music if you boil it all down. Okay, so rhythm accuracy is very important, obviously. If you had perfect rhythm all the way through, that would be a 4. If you messed up just like one little time, that might be a 3. If you messed up, you know, more than one time, maybe that would be a 2. If you're really having unsteady problems, you know, that wouldn't be very good. If you're really, really unsteady in your rhythm, that would be number 1, of course, obviously. Okay, pitch accuracy, number 4. Pitch accuracy is playing accurate pitches, and this is usually related to the key signature and any accidentals that you might have in the song. Okay, it is helpful to understand what key you're in and the different tonalities that occur in band music, that is things like major or minor or blues or whatever. Also, any intonation issues characteristic to your particular instrument. So for instance, on the saxophone, the higher you get, the sharper your notes get. And it's important to know that so you can compensate for that pitch-wise. Okay? So that's pitch accuracy. 4 would be all the right notes. 3 would be mostly, just maybe 1 or 2 problems. 2 would be, well, quite a few wrong notes. Usually that's related to you missed a key signature and you played 1 wrong note throughout the whole thing. That sometimes happens, okay? So be really, really careful to check your key signature. And 1 would be, serious pitch problems, multiple pitch errors, that kind of thing. Okay? Last category, interpretation. Musical details, including dynamics, tempo, phrasing, accents, and other articulations, and other elements that give the piece of music its style. Okay? Style comes from articulation, really, it does. Okay? It comes from how you start the note, how you end the note. That's where it comes from. And dynamics and phrasing and all that other kind of musical interpretation kind of thing. So, if number 4, you obviously played the right details for accents, articulations, dynamics, phrasing, all that kind of stuff. It was really obvious to me that you knew how to do that. Number 3 would be mostly right with just maybe a few missed. Okay, 2 would be kind of getting some of them, but not really many. And 1 would be no details at all. You just played it all mezzo forte with no articulation, no dynamics, no nothing, whatever. Okay, you just played the notes and rhythms. Play the notes and rhythms correctly, of course, you get a lot of the other categories right, but you get nothing on interpretation. Now, sometimes there will be songs that there is no interpretation on. Sometimes there won't be a dynamic marked, or any articulations, or any phrasing, or anything like that. Sometimes you get that category for free, which is kind of nice. Okay? If you do have any questions on the grading process this year here in the middle school, please do send me an email. I'm pretty good about getting back to things to people, usually within about 24 hours or so. So please feel free to shoot me an email if you have any questions. Thank you very much.